I wanted to offer a topic this weekend because we experience a lot of different kinds of love. And some of it is very heartwarming, some of it is very difficult and challenging, and some of it causes us a lot of suffering. So rather than just to shunt it all off to the side and say, well, that's not pure love, that's just not to be dealt with. Really, it's so much of our life is some kind of involvement and entanglement in love relationships, conventional love relationships that are necessary, seem necessary, and are sometimes satisfying and often not fully satisfying. Nevertheless, it's what we've got to work with. So, just to bring some light of awareness onto these experiences so that we can learn about them and so that we can be aware of the structure. How is it? What is the nature of this kind of relationship? How much of it is love? How much of it is attachment? How much of it is expectation? How much of it is negotiated, mutual, whatever you can get with your partner? How much of it is what we call unconditional love, like we have for children or grandchildren? What makes it possible? What destroys the intimacy of love relationship? Just the way we're going to know the answers to these is to practice awareness. Just pay attention to our relationships so that we can just begin to understand more. Because to the extent that we are aware of what's going on in our relationships, we'll understand them. And to the extent that we understand them correctly, we can make wiser choices in how to respond, rather than react, or when to act, and how to massage the relationship in the direction of more love and less suffering. There's one more piece that I want to speak about now, just to bring it into the practice of vipassana into the topic of love. And that is to speak a little bit about the nature of insight into love relationships. Now, vipassana is translated as insight, and essentially it means seeing that all experience displays what are called the three universal characteristics, meaning that all experience has these qualities, it has these characteristics. And the first one is that it is impermanent. It changes. And it's good to know that about love and love relationships too. They change. They change on a moment-to-moment basis. They change on a year-by-year basis. And it's not hard to see. Some of us have been in serial monogamous relationships in our life, or we've been in a single monogamous relationship, which has undergone tremendous change. And so, just to bring the awareness of change, or allow the experience of change into our love relationships, is wisdom. It's smart to understand, to not expect, to not somehow overlook the fact that love too changes, and the experience of love changes, and all of the elements of love changes. It's not just the person you love changes. So that we're not, we don't have some unreasonable expectation that somehow love, or the experience of love, or the feeling of love, is outside of the realm of Dhamma, wisdom. It's not. It is another mental state or heart condition of the heart that is as impermanent as every other emotion that you feel. Just like anger comes and goes, frustration comes and goes, joy comes and goes, love comes and goes. And understanding the causes and conditions that give rise to love, as well as the causes and conditions that lead to the demise or the dissolution or the corrosion of love. If we pay attention to our love relationships, we'll understand that. And it's understanding that frees us from suffering and the causes of suffering. Experience happens, but it's understanding those experiences insightfully, deeply, that will loosen the grip of our craving, our attachment, our expectation. Lest we think that if I do that, if I gain insight into the nature of love, and if I loosen the grip of expectation, attachment, craving, I'm going to live devoid of love. That's not so. Because we know that love can be a very non-suffering condition. Buddha, when his two left hand, right hand main monks passed away, Sariputta, one that was second in wisdom to the Buddha, and Moggallana, who was the jhana of a concentration, not the most facility in concentration. When they passed away, and the Buddha was asked about it, he didn't say, "Hey, everything's permanent, forget it." He said, "It's like the two lights of the Sangha, of the Dhamma, have disappeared for God." And just acknowledging how much of a loss there was to the Sangha, that these two beings have passed away. Now, he didn't kind of wail and moan and oh, poor us, and kind of get caught up in a lot of grief and pity and self-pity and, that. He just was able to acknowledge that there was a great loss in the passing away of these two beings, expressing and thereby acknowledging the great love he had for them, even though the Buddha was free of attachment and craving. Still, tremendous love. And we too can have love without craving and attachment. Maybe not for our kids, maybe not for our partners, but, to the extent that we do have love relationships without craving and attachment, we suffer less. We can still feel love. We can grieve that love. We can really know that this person has passed on, or passed out of our life, whether it's through death or some other reason or some other cause. And so we shouldn't fear gaining insight into the nature of love, experiences of love, even if it shows us how painful it is to crave, and to cling, to grasp onto the form that that one takes at this time. We can let go of the form and keep the love. The second condition, or the second insight that we gain through just paying attention, is that all of love experiences, all of the conditions that give rise to love, have the characteristic of dukkha. And what that means is, sometimes love itself is painful. When you love someone, they don't love you back. It can be painful. Or you love someone and then you fear the loss of it. You feel the loss of them, or you feel the loss of that love. Painful. Or you love someone and it's accompanied with abandonment issues. Because of abandonment, you don't want to be abandoned by them, and so you're kind of living in fear. Even though you're loving, you still have a lot of fear around being abandoned by them, or neglected by them, and not having your needs met by the beloved. And so, to the extent that we open ourselves up to the vulnerability of loving and receiving love, we open ourselves up to the possibility of all these other emotions that accompany love. I've been calling them baggage, but they are their own experiences that we don't want to be blindsided. We don't want to be naive about loving, falling in love, or developing a love, nurturing and nourishing a love relationship with anyone. You don't want to be so naive as to think that's all it's going to be. It's just lovely. It's really lovely and painful. And to know that because it changes too, that the way it is now is not going to be that way later. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't love. It just means that you don't want to be delusional about it. To the extent that you really understand that it's going to change, it's sometimes going to be painful. It's not that love itself is painful, but it comes with baggage that is painful. And the third kind of dukkha experience is painful sometimes, or it's painful because it changes from pleasant to unpleasant, or good to bad, or like that. And then the third is sometimes just at that falling in love stage when you're so obsessed, you cannot get the other person out of your mind. You're just obsessed with them. Or even after a long term, when the relationship it's loving, but there's some snit, some kind of wrinkle in the love relationship, and it just torments you. How you can resolve it, or fix it, or solve it. And that incessant just churning in the mind is something like sankhara dukkha. It's just unavoidable. And at times it comes into sharp relief. You really see it, really get it. That, wow, even at the best of times, this is really not satisfying. And that's what dukkha means. Not satisfying. It's not pleasant, or it's not satisfying because it changes. It's not satisfying because it's just incessant, it's oppressive, it just burdens the mind with challenge. I don't have to convince you of any of this, you all know it. You've all experienced it. I'm just mentioning it so that we can kind of be conscious of it and see it in our relationship when it comes out. That this is normal. This is the way it is. It's not like there's something wrong with your love relationship if you're feeling, unsatisfied with it. That's the way it is. Because all experience has the characteristic of dukkha. It's unsatisfying. And then the third characteristic, or the third insight that the Vipassana practice sees or comes to understand is that this experience of love only has existence in our hearts because of other things happening. Causes and conditions arise, giving us the appearance of being in love, or appearance of loving. When those conditions change, the experience of love or loving also changes. I often point to the experience of a rainbow. A rainbow appears in the sky due to causes and conditions. There's moisture in the sky, there's the sun shining at a certain angle, and you're viewing that place in the sky that's at the right angle, and you see a rainbow. That rainbow has no inherent existence in and of itself. It is only conditioned by moisture, sunlight, and the angle of viewing. If they're present, then a rainbow appears. Everything in our life is like that. It arises due to causes and conditions. It's an appearance. There's an appearance of love. There's an appearance of the beloved in our life due to causes and conditions. When those causes and conditions change, the beloved changes, the experience of the love relationship changes. It's not your fault. You can't make it otherwise. It doesn't have an existence on its own, independent of causes and conditions. So we want to be aware of that, so that when we are looking at or nurturing, nourishing, massaging our relationships in the direction of more love and less suffering, we don't somehow think, somehow if I just get it right, it'll never change, it'll never be painful, and it'll always be there. Not possible. Okay, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try, that we shouldn't love, and that we shouldn't do the best we can in nurturing love relationships. Because what's the other option? Nurturing suffering relationships? We don't have to nurture them. They come very easy. So this is just something to do in between times. So these insights into change, unsatisfactoriness, and conditionality, they come just from paying attention. If you pay attention, if you develop awareness of your experiences in the love relationship, the pleasant, the unpleasant, the physical, the mental, the emotional, you will come to understand these three characteristics. You will gradually grow in knowledge of the way it is, really. And then your love relationships are much more realistic. You have less demand on them, less expectation, and you can accept them for what they are. Lovely when they're lovely, changing when they're changing, dukkha when they're dukkha. Okay, that's what it is. And that knowledge allows us to have a lot more equanimity about the inevitable ups and downs of what ordinary love relationships. It's going to be a challenging time. It's up and down, and it's come together, fall apart, just like your mind, just in practice. And it's just not a steady state experience. Nothing is. And so you don't want to be misleaded. You don't want to be deluded by the incessant advertising and the incessant images of long enduring romance and love that hoisted off the planets unrealistically. You can't help that. You can't avoid all that, but you don't want to believe it either. So you don't have to believe it is through practice awareness and develop insight, and you'll see through it. So this is the reason that we bring this topic even into our practice, and that we cultivate the awareness of all the elements of the experiences, so we can gain understanding. And it's the understanding that is free from delusion, naivete, misbelieving how love relationships should be. Then we have a possibility of really genuine, nourishing, without intentional energy, nourishing genuine love relationships. We don't succeed all the time, but we have a better chance of succeeding the more we understand how it is. Or I should say, the beginning.